Hello everyone, I'm Sebastian Y, and this is Principles of Macro. In this video, we're going to talk about the Federal Reserve's definitions of the monetary aggregates. When we talk about the money supply or the money stock, we're talking about the amount of money that is currently circulating in the economy. Measuring the money stock is a little bit more complex than it might initially seem because we need to think about what exactly do we mean by money. The most straightforward part of the money stock is certainly currency. That's the paper money and the coins that we typically associate with money. But there are other things out there that fulfill those three functions of money that we talked about in the last video. Generally, we classify different forms of money by their liquidity. Liquidity refers to how easy it is to convert that form of money into a medium of exchange that you can actually spend to buy goods. Currency is the most liquid form of money because you can just pull that dollar bill out of your pocket and exchange it for something right away. The Federal Reserve classifies the most liquid forms of money as M1. Currency was until recently the largest part of M1. Since most retailers are also going to accept checks or debit cards that come out of checking accounts, any funds in checking accounts are also considered part of M1. Although traveler's checks are relatively uncommon today, historically they are also considered part of M1. The big change that happened in the definition of M1 is that in May of 2020, the Federal Reserve reclassified savings accounts as part of M1 as well. Historically, savings accounts were not counted as part of M1 because of restrictions on the number of withdrawals that can be made from savings accounts. Since those restrictions were lifted, savings accounts moved into M1 in 2020. That being said, some banks might still choose to enforce restrictions on savings accounts. M2 is a more broadly defined monetary aggregate that also includes forms of money that are less liquid than those in M1. First of all, M2 also includes everything inside of M1, but adds what are known as time deposits. The most common type of time deposit is a certificate of deposit. These are accounts that generally have higher interest rates than savings accounts, but they typically pay out after a fixed maturity date. Most CDs have a penalty if you try to withdraw the money before the maturity date. For this reason, they are less liquid than savings accounts or checking accounts. And so we classify them as part of M2, but not part of M1. The last thing I want to mention here is that IRAs, individual retirement accounts, are not considered part of M1 or M2. Since IRAs typically have a steep penalty to early withdrawal, they are not liquid enough to be considered part of M1 or M2. I've got on screen here a graph of three measures of the money stock: currency in green, M1 in blue, and M2 in red. You can see that all three of them have steadily gone up over time, but M1 has a dramatic increase in 2020, and that is because of savings accounts being reclassified as part of M1 and not just M2. You can see from that jump that savings accounts are now the largest component of M1. Currently, there's about $2.26 trillion of currency in circulation. If we do the math, that comes out to about $7,000 in cash for every American. I'm guessing you don't hold $7,000 in cash, and neither do I. Most Americans probably hold no more than a few $100s in cash at any given time. So it might be worth asking, where's all the money? There are a few theories about this. First of all, there are many developing economies that do not have a stable currency, and so US dollars often make their way to some of those countries where they are used as a stable medium of exchange. Another possibility is that some of that money is in the underground economy. Think about things like drug deals or other under-the-table transactions, which typically use cash because it's not traceable like a debit card would be. This has been a quick introduction to the monetary aggregates of M1 and M2. In the next video, you'll learn a little bit more about the banking system.